My experience being deaf and transgender in a minority community within a minority, you see, the deaf community is quite diverse. And then you have the intersect of the queer community. And then even more limited is the trans community. You see, I believe the reason for that is information out there is not readily available. We have social media, we have Facebook and Instagram and other platforms, but services providing information accessible is really quite limited. For me, my experience and my journey has been utilizing my own resources and networks. But that information in Auslan is really, again, really quite minuscule. A frustrating experience for me is those services being provided are not accessible in Auslan. I'm having to gather a whole range of information to keep myself informed. And that's been me gathering books. An example of me was reading trans history and how it all began. And that's all through English. At times there are information that's really quite complex. And so I'm having to use colleagues and interpreters to help understand and translate that information. For me, my journey is gathering information and translating that into Auslan for others. But the access is really quite difficult. Internationally, there's plenty of information in sign, but Australia, it's really quite slow. I would love to see that progress and advance and have more information available in Auslan. As a deaf transgender person within the wider community, society, being overlooked, I don't think has really come up too often. I believe me being part of the deaf community being so lovely and supportive of my own journey, I feel quite fortunate. But as a deaf, trans identifying person in wider society, yeah, that is hard to navigate. I believe Auslan has an impact because it's not accessible to the wider community. The wider community is not accessible to Auslan. Also, an example is the pronouns, the frustration of constantly reminding people to use appropriate pronouns. Information about pronouns is not readily available, so people are not as aware. Slowly and surely, through social media, awareness is being portrayed and people are understanding people's preferred pronouns, which is also a very big part of our identity. We need to be proud of our identity. Society has their identities and understanding of our identities. The knowledge is slowly getting out there. I believe in the long run, there will be a greater relationship and things will improve. But at the moment, accessing what I need can be limiting. Accessing information in Auslan, not so great. So I'm having to therefore rely on interpreters to enable me full access. My involvement in wider society can be, seeing that their people are quite supportive. However, there are, on the other hand, people who disagree or feel sympathy for a deaf person. So it is extra work and extra burden to explain ourselves and also to explain it doesn't affect them. It doesn't affect you. My journey is part of my identity and my life. What's important for everybody is to have a look and say, there's Dion. Dion's fine. I'm all right. Therefore, there has no effect on others. The impacts are the way society treats us. Question 3. My message to you. The important thing I want you to know is identity and pronouns. Choose the pronoun you like. There are people out there who try and take those decisions away, but don't let them. You have your agency. You make your decisions. Making those decisions for myself has been hard. It's been a long journey gathering information to make informed decisions. But once I have that information, I can check what resonates with me and I decide. can tell people, this is my decision and not yours. Society can pathologize our intersect, label us, but that's not up to them. They can't judge. You decide, you choose your labels. It's important that you look after yourself and your identity and you choose. Don't let anybody tell you what your label should be. You stand tall and say, no, I decide my label. That's my important message. My intersectional superpower. Firstly, my superpower is that I'm deaf. I have the ability to shut things out. That negativity, what people try to impose on us, their judgment, I can block it out. A second superpower, strength, confidence. I'm able to stand up and take my journey upon myself. Yeah, there are instances where people come and try to pass judgment or make influence, but for me, I take that, I look at it, and I decide what I want to take on. That's been an experience for me. That gives me experiences and gives me a narrative. I'm a great storyteller. I enjoy telling stories. I love passing on information. You can take that information or you can leave that information. It's completely up to you. What I do in my life, what in fact impacts me or affects you, up to you. My third superpower is my impact, my influence. I love to see positivity and optimism. I like to see growth and advancement. When I see growth and advancement, I always cheer that on.